Alright, here we go. We're going to do the World of Warcraft class review, part 1, Warriors, Warlocks, and Paladins. Alright, the Warrior is my favorite class, with its 3 talent trees being Arms, which is my favorite. They get Blade Storm as their level 80 ability, Endless Rage is their 70 ability, and they get Mortal Strike for their 60 ability. Fury, my least favorite, for the 80, they get Titan's Grip, Rampage, and Bloodthirst. Titan's Grip lets them wield a two-handed sword in one hand and another in the other hand. Blade Storm instantly whirlwinds and attacks everyone around you for 6 seconds. Protection, they get Vigilance as their 60, Devastate, as their 70 ability, and it sunders the target's armor, which breaks it by like 50%. And they get Shockwave as their 80. It does damage based on attack power and stuns all enemies within a frontal cone of the warrior. Some of their main abilities that they get Dual Wield at level 20. In Arms, they get Overpower. The description is it instantly overpowers the enemy, causing weapon damage, only usable after the target dodges. They get Charge, which charges an enemy, generating 25 rage and stuns the enemy. Heroic Strike, which they start with, it increases the melee damage by the next attack, and it causes a high amount of threat. Thunderclap blasts the enemy for a range around them and slows their weapon damage. In Fury, we have Execute, which finishes off a wounded foe. It does a ton of damage at the end. They also get Recklessness, which increases their critical strike ability by 100%, but all damage taken is increases by 20%. Protection, they get Shield Wall, which reduces all damage taken by 60% for 12 seconds. Disarm, they disarm the enemy for 10 seconds, and Sunder Armor, sunders the target's armor, reducing it by 520. And that's pretty much the warrior, so we're going to log out and go to the warlock. Alright, now the warlock is probably the most overpowered spellcaster, with their talent trees being Affliction, Demonology, and Destruction. For Destruction, they get Chaos Bolt, which does 607 to 769 damage. It can't be resisted, and it pierces through all resistances. Shadow Fury is their 7. It causes 370. It causes 343 to 407 damage and stuns all enemies within 8 yards. And their 60 was Conflagrate. Ignites the target that is already afflicted by a melee or shadow flame, dealing 240 to 306 damage. Demonology Metamorphosis is their 80. It transforms them into a demon for 30 seconds, increasing their armor by 600%. Which is probably why they're the most overpowered. They can summon a Felguard, which is the best demon they can summon. And they get Demonic Empowerment, which increases the power of their demons. Affliction, they get Haunt, and the definition is send a ghostly soul to the target, dealing 405 to 473 shadow damage, and increasing all damage over time by your damage over time effects on the target by 20% for 12 seconds. When the Haunt spell ends or is dispelled, the soul returns to you, healing for you 100% of the damage it did to the target, which is pretty awesome. There's 70 Unstable Affliction. The shadow energy slowly destroys the target, causing 550 damage over 15 seconds. In addition, if the unstable affliction is dispelled, it will cause 990 damage to the dispeller and silence them for 5 seconds. Their 60 is, I think, Contagion. Increases the damage of Curse of Agony, Corruption, and Seed of Corruption by 1%, and reduces the chance your affliction spells will be dispelled by additional 6%. And some of the warlock skills. In Affliction, they get Life Tap, which converts their health into mana. Curse of Agony does a lot of damage. It's pretty much their base curse. Corruption, it corrupts the target, doing damage over time. Drain Life, they drain the life into them. They have Curse of Weakness, and they can fear a target, meaning it will run away for 8 seconds. In Demonology, they have Unending Breathing. They can create Soul Stones, which are needed for spells. They Demon Skin, which protects the caster, increasing its armor. Health Funnel heals your demon. You can summon imps and void walkers, and all your demons are Demonology. Right now, as level 15, all I have is a Malate, which burns the enemy and then does additional dots. Searing Pain, which does base damage, and Shadow Bolt, which is pretty much their basic attack, does a strong amount of damage. Moving on, we're going to go to Paladins. Inside this tunnel. Well, Paladins are one of the best melee classes. I think Prot's their best spec, but they have Holy Spec, Protection Spec, and Retribution Spec. In Retribution, they have Divine Storm, which an instant weapon attack that causes holy damage to up to 4 enemies within 8 yards. It heals up to 3 part of your raid members, totaling 20% of the damage caused. Crusader Strike, an instant strike that causes 110% damage. And Repentance, which puts the enemy target in a state of meditation, incapacitating them for up to 1 minute. Any damage caused will awaken the target. Usable only against demons, dragonkin, giants, humanoids, and undead. Protection, their level 80 is Hammer of Righteousness, which hammer the target and up to 2 additional nearby targets, causing 3 times your main hand damage per second as holy damage. Avenger's Shield hurls a shield at the enemy, dealing 337 to 451 holy damage, dazing them, and then jumping to 3 total targets. That's Avenger's Shield. Level 60 is Holy Shield, which increases the chance to block by 30% for 10 seconds and deals 61 holy damage for each attack blocked. As Holy, they get Beacon of Light. The target becomes a Beacon of Light to all targets within a 40-yard radius. Any heals you cast on those targets will heal the beacon for 100% of the amount healed. Only 1 target can be a Beacon of Light at a time. Divine Illumination reduces the mana cost of all spells by 50% for 15 seconds. Holy Shock, which blasts the target with holy energy, causing 314 to 340 holy damage to an enemy. To an ally, it will heal them for 481 to 591 healing damage. And that concludes part 1, Warriors, Paladins, and Warlocks.